Okay, so we are now going to discuss SQL's aggregate functions. Okay, so when you say aggregate function, it is a function that performs a calculation on a set of values and returns a single value. Okay, so the keywords that you're going to take note is first we have performs a calculation. Okay, then returns a single value. Okay, so what are the columns that we could calculate? So it could be the numbers and also with our dates. Okay, but we are not actually limited to those kinds of columns. Okay, so we're going to perform some calculations now on a given data set or the database, so that we could understand and use correctly the aggregate functions of SQL. Okay, so first we're going to have our sample database. So we're going to go back with our DB students. Okay, so we have here our TBL students. Then I just added here actually one column. Okay, stud grade, so that we are going to play with the values of this column. Okay, then we have the foreign key here for the course ID, in which we have here our lookup table TBL courses. And if you are following our this playlist, okay, so I know you're not familiar with TBL students and its relationship with TBL courses. Okay, then we have here a sample record for the TBL students. Okay, so I just limited it to 10. Actually, there are a lot of records that we could play with this data set. Okay, so I have here the auto increment student ID, then the name, course. Okay, so as you can see, this number because it is a foreign key, and the grades for each of the students. Okay, so first, we have here our TBL courses. So we have only 4. So we have BS IT, BSN, BS Cream, and Hospitality Management. Okay. And if ever that we are going to display the students with the courses, so I know you're not familiar with the inner join, and actually again I have limited only up to 10, so we could see it here, the named students and their courses and their grades. Okay, so first of the aggregate function that we're going to have is the mean function. Okay, so it returns the smallest value within the selected column. Okay, so we have here the syntax for the mean function. So select mean, then the column name. Okay, from the table name, and optional where the condition. Okay, so but then you could also, since it is an optional, so therefore you could also use only up to the from table name. Okay, so I have here an example. Select mean stud grade from table student. So it is going to return the value of the smallest student grade from the stud grade column. Okay, and I have specified here where course ID, wrong spelling. This is actually course ID. Okay, because as you can see here, where stud course ID is equal to 4. So I think 4 is BSHM. So select mean stud grade, meaning the minimum grade from table students of the students of the course BSHM. And as you can see here, it returns a single value, and the value here is we have 60. Okay, so that's for the mean function. So take note, as an aggregate function, it is going to return only a single value. And usually we are going to ask, who is the student? Okay, so we're going to have that later on. Okay, so next is we have the max function. Okay, it returns the largest value of the selected column. Okay, so if mean is for the minimum, so max is for the maximum. So they have actually the same syntax. So we have select max, then the column name. In our case, we are going to have our stud grade from TBL students, where course ID is equal to 4. Okay, so the highest grade for the BSHM is we have 69.00. Okay, Now I just copied and pasted it, so therefore course ID, this should be course ID. Okay, so that's for the max function. Okay, then we have our count function. Returns the number of rows that matches a specified criterion. So for example, okay, but before that, I have here the syntax. Okay, select, then count, then the column name from table name, then for the with our condition. So in this example, I'm going to count how many BSIT students, because 1 is for BSIT. Okay, so I have here select count asterisk, meaning it is a wildcard, so therefore for all columns. Okay, from table students where course ID is equal to 1, so it returns 12. So meaning there are 12 BSIT students. Okay, so it is also possible, for example, I'm not going to have a where, so therefore it is going to return the number of all records in our table. So meaning all students, if ever I'm not going to have the condition here. Okay, so that's for the count function. Okay, more count functions. So we have here, for example, I'm going to display how many students who gets a failing grade. Okay, because less than 50, 49 down, that's that's failing grades. Okay, so as you can see, it returns 0. So therefore, all students in our table have a passing grade. Okay, because it returns 0 number of students. So here, who are the students, or how many students gets a grade which is greater than or equal to 80. Okay, so again, select count, then the number of all columns, then from table students where grade is greater than or equal to 80. So it returns 22, so therefore there are 22 students, okay, whose grade are greater than or equal to 80. Okay, so next is, how about BSIT students whose grades are 90 and above? Okay, so again, still we have your account, then stud grade is greater than or equal to 90, and the course ID is equal to 1. As we have known, 1 is for BSIT. Okay, so it returns 12, so therefore there are 12 BSIT students whose grades are greater than or equal to 90. Okay, so next is we have the sum function. Okay, it returns the total sum of a numeric column. Okay, so it is going to add all values in a given column. So we have here the syntax. Okay, select sum, then column name. By the way, you could use also here an alias. Okay, and as you can see in our previous examples, it returns the count asterisk. We have here the max. Okay, so if you want to have another column name, so just have an alias here. For example, as what's this? Highest grade, for example. Okay, so sum. Okay, so I'm here. For example, I'm going to get the sum. So sum of grades, maybe. Anyway, there might be some applications or instances when we are going to get the sum of grades. So here is we're going to get the sum of the grades of all BSIT students. So we have here select sum, then stud grade. This is the column that we are going to get the sum of its values from the table. Then where course ID is equal to 1. So as you can see here, sum of stud grades is we have 1,127. Okay, so maybe later on you're going to divide it by how many, by the count, so that would be the average. Okay, but anyway, we are going to have the average function. Okay, so the average function returns the average value of a numeric column. So take note, it is only applicable for a numeric column, just like with our sum function. Okay? So same syntax. So here, for example, I want to get the average of the grades of all BSIT students. I select the AVG, meaning average of the grades from TBL students where the course is equal to 1. Okay, so we have the result 93.91. Okay, again, if ever I want to get the average grade of all students, so we are just going to remove our condition here. Okay. Okay, so next is we have the group by statement. Okay. So a group by statement groups rows that have the same values into summary rows. Okay. So it is going to group those values if they have the same values. For example, here, find the number of customers in each country. Or in our case, let us say find or get the students per course. Okay? So that in that case, we are going to use the group by statement. For example, select, and as you can see here for the column names, so it could now return multiple columns. Okay? From table name, where, okay, so we have here the usual condition, then group by column name or names. It is possible that it would be more than one column, and order by, just add the order by. Okay, so what's the difference now between the where and the group? Okay, so where is just the condition. So first, it is going to filter this one here before it is going to apply the group by. And take note that where is actually an optional. Okay, so it is possible you are going to use it where the where statement or where clause depending on the condition. Okay, so in our example here, we are going to get the average grade by course. Okay, so as you can see, I have here select then the course ID and the average of the student grade from TBL students grouped by course ID. Okay, so now I'm just referring to a single table, so that's, as you can see here, I get only the IDs. Okay, so but as you can see, it gets now the average for average grades, and it has grouped by the course ID. So meaning all BSIT students, their average grade is 93.91. Okay, and for BSHM is we have 64.75. So this is now the average grade of all BHIM, and here is for BSIT. I forgot 2 and 3. Okay, next, so how about if ever that we're going to include the name? Okay, so first is we have here our inner join. I know you are not familiar with the inner join, so I assigned TBL courses as B, so that's why as you can see here, select B dot course name, comma, average A dot stud course, because TBL students has been assigned as A. Okay, then I use an alias, okay, as average. Okay, then from TBL students A, inner join the B on TBL courses and the related fields, which is the course ID and the course ID in our B, group by course name. So I am grouping them by course name. Okay, so that I could group them here, then order by average, then descending. Okay, so take note, I used here the alias average, and I arranged them descending in a descending order by average. Okay, so as you can see here, the first in the first row is we have the highest average, which is our BSIT, then cream, BSN, and the lowest we have our BSHM. Okay, so in comparison with the next statement here, I use the group by with course ID. Okay, so therefore we could still use any column, okay, to group by, even though it does not appear on our result. Okay, so take note, I used here the course ID. Okay, so a dot course ID. So actually we have the same result if ever I'm going to group by also with the course name. Okay, so that is for our group by. Then we are going to have our having clause. Okay, powerful tool that allows you to filter the result of an aggregation. Okay, so take note here. Having is going to filter the result of an aggregation based on specific condition. Okay, so in our previous example, we have here group by, then without any filter, so all results has been returned. Okay, so take note, it comes into play after the grouping has occurred, making it different from where clause, which filters individual rows before any aggregations. I want you to take note on the difference between the having and the where clause. Okay, I don't have a where there, so we have here. So the aggregation happens here into our group by clause. Okay, so the where happens before the aggregation. Okay, so therefore this filter here, the first filter is going to filter if ever, okay, this is case to case, it is going to filter the rows that are going to be involved in this select statement. Okay, then the result, for example, in our example here, the aggregation happens here with the average and the group by. Okay, and this is the result. Now if ever I want to filter the result of this aggregation, so I'm going to use a having clause. Okay, so this condition here is going to affect here, okay, the result of from first up to fourth line of the statement, whereas the where is going to affect only the first two lines here. Okay, so again, having is going to affect the group by, or the result of the aggregation up to the fourth line here of the group by clause. Okay, so for this example that we have, okay, same. Okay, I have, so first three lines here is the same with the previous one. So this is actually in our I copied this one here from our previous this one here, okay, previous slide, so that we could compare the result of this one here without a having and this one here with a having clause. Okay, so group by up to here, so we have this result. Okay, for example, but then for example I want only to get those courses with greater than 70 average. Okay, so that's why I have here having average is greater than 70. Okay, so as you could see here, we have our average column is we have here, and this is an aggregate function. Okay, so then the result of this aggregate, okay, is now filtered by using the having clause, in which it is going to return only those average greater than 70. So as you could see on the result here, BSHM has been excluded. Okay, it is not included into our list. Why? It is because 64.75 is not greater than 70. Okay, but here 75, 79, and 93 are all greater than 70, so therefore they are included into our result. Okay, so that's for having clause. Okay, so I have here an example of where and having clause. Okay, so same, the course name, the average, then I have a where clause here. Okay, where course name, so in the aggregate operation here, it only gets the values for BSIT and BSHM. Okay, so in our where clause, we have now here our condition. So we have not included the BS cream and BSN in our first aggregation as a filter into our first aggregation here. Okay, so when we get the average here, it doesn't include the other courses aside from BSIT and BSHM. Why? Because we have a condition get. It looks like we're telling MySQL that get only the average of students from BSIT and BSHM. Okay, and then we are going to group by course ID. So therefore, the result supposedly would be BSIT and BSHM only. Okay, but then we have included a having clause where having average is greater than 70. Okay, so therefore, even though if we have included here the BSHM in our first condition, but on the having condition is get only those courses with an average greater than 70. So this is now after the aggregate operation. Okay, so therefore, what has been returned is only for the BSIT. Okay, so again, where is going to affect those columns, okay, that are going to be included into the aggregate function. Okay, so in this case, only the BSIT and BSHM are included in getting the average. Okay, then group by, including our group by. Okay, but then after the aggregation, we have it met another condition. It should be the average must be only greater than 70, and we know BSHM is 64, so therefore it excluded again. We have the BSHM. Okay, so that's the difference of where and having. So where is affects only this one here, and the having is going to affect the whole aggregate operation. Okay, so I hope you get the difference between a where and a having clause. Okay. Also, that's the end of our topic. So we are going to have some more exercises on the next video so that you are going to be acquainted and be familiarized with the SQL aggregate functions.